Hey guys, Marmalade here with Marmalade Outdoors. Thanks for joining me for another video. In this video, I thought this would really help out you guys, especially over the winter if maybe you're on the East Coast or somewhere where you can't get out, to start working on your gear to lighten it up. So I'm calling this video 20 tips to lighten your backpack and where it doesn't cost you any money. So let's start with number one. All right, tip number one is, let me ask you a question. Do you guys use a rain cover? I think we all do, or pretty much everybody does. I have a tip for you. Get rid of it. This is my rain cover right here with the little bag. It weighs 5.2 ounces. How do I do it? I waterproof my backpack from the inside instead of the out. And how do I do that? With a trash compactor bag. That's right. This weighs 1/10 of an ounce. And it's very simple. It's very light, very durable and thick. You get this at the grocery store. Just put this in your pack, especially your quilt, your sleeping bag, and your sleeping clothes, and anything you need to keep warm in case you do get wet during the day. All right, number two is a pretty easy one, and that is go through your first aid kit. They sell these pre-made ones like this. They come with a pretty thick, heavy-duty bag. Some of you guys buy them online, the bags, and make your own kit. But I always make my own kits. But this weighs between 12 and 13 ounces. What I do is I use a freezer quart Ziploc bag. You'll see that's a trend with me with everything. It's waterproof, it's durable, it's tough, it's easy and cheap to replace, and I can see what's in it. Now mine is 8.7 ounces right now. It's a little heavier than normal, but for this last go in the Sierra, I've added some stuff I normally don't have. But this is a little deceiving. It's 8.7 ounces, but I do have my toothbrush, my toothpaste. I have salve for chafing in here, which I normally keep separate. And I have all my gear and my foot tape, so like repair tape. So I need to do Leuco tape or tape for my tents and things like that. It's all in here instead of keeping it separate. Some people have it separate, but I have everything in my first aid kit. So it is 8.7 ounces, but it's about half of the size of this thing right here. All right, the third way to save some weight is to get rid of your beanie. I know it sounds a little insane even for you folks back east, but I've been using it lately, and I did it in the Sierra, and it worked great. Now, the theory here is to get lighter, to figure out your layering system. I have mine dialed in after finishing the PCT. This one's clean, even though it's dirty. It's like I don't use it anymore, but I wear a sun hoodie. It has a hood. I now love my Senchi mid layer. It's got a hood. My Lighten Equipment Torrid Apex jacket, synthetic jacket, has a hood. And even my rain jacket, which is a Frog Togs right now, I have a fancy one I'm going to start using, has a hood. So what I've been just doing is I got wise, I don't need it, and I just put on one or more of those on at night if it's really, really cold. I have a quilt, so I don't have anything to cover me like some of the mummy sleeping bags, and I'm as warm as can be. All right, the fourth way to save some pack weight is to consider not bringing your camp shoes. Now, when I am through hiking long distances, I generally bring them. I've even gone without them, but I generally bring them. But bring something very thin, very light. These are the ones I wear on an everyday basis. I live in San Diego, so we have good weather all year round. So these are what I wear. These are standard. They're actually on their Tevas, and they're on the lighter side. And I have a bigger foot, so they're bigger. The pair together are 11.6 ounces, so that would be just under a pound you're saving, and a lot of shoes are even heavier. I know some people use Crocs. I'm not a Croc person. Remember, there's two things. It's always about the space and weight, but it's also that they're in the way. A lot of people hang their Crocs on the outside of your pack, and they're in the way. You got to get at this and get at that, and they're in the way. The way I get away with this is basically when I'm backpacking. For the most part, when I get to camp, I'm pretty snockered and tired, so I want to set up camp. I untie my laces and just leave them loose so my shoes are comfortable, my trail runners. And I do my duties and filter water and do all the stuff I have to do and chill. If I'm by myself or with other people, we talk and chat. And basically, a lot of times, unless it's summertime, it gets cold fast in the mountains. So really, by the time it's getting dark, it's time to get in the quilt and get warm again. So I spend a lot of time in the quilt and getting horizontal. So I don't find that it warrants carrying almost a pound of shoes for the little amount of time I'd actually wear them. So just consider it, see if you can do it. Sometimes on a shorter trip, it's worth carrying extra things and extra weight because you want the luxury items. But I just learned this summer when I did 2 different trips in the Sierra, I didn't need them at all, and I didn't bring them. All right, the fifth tip to save some weight is to consider not bringing a good or big sized towel. Now, I know that weekend trips are different, especially if you go to the lake or the river and you're in the summertime and you're swimming, things like that. But just there's a saying that's going to be a commonality in all these things I'm telling you is that Sometimes it's not a big savings, sometimes it is on these items I'm giving you, but ounces lead to pounds. So just think about it that way. And I'll give you a good example on one of the 20 items I'm going to show you later that you never think about that will save a lot of weight. But what I've done instead of bringing a full-size towel, and I did the whole PCT this way, is I actually just made up my own. I found some chamois. It's done. I don't use this one anymore, but I've used this exact one on the whole entire PCT. And this was actually a piece of chamois cloth I got at Trader Joe's. It was like a dishcloth for your dishes. But the way I thought about it was I cut it. It's not quite. It's a little smaller than a foot square, but it's basically a foot square. And this is to get condensation in my tent. I've spilled water when when I have a water bottle in my tent. I've been able to clean it up with that. But this is also like if I go in a creek or in a river or a lake, or even I've had places where I had showers, but they didn't offer towels. So it's a chamois, so I basically dry off pretty good, squeeze it out. It's not perfectly dry, but you can get your body mostly dry and then air dry the rest of the way. So this works really well. This weighs 1/10 of an ounce. Now I will say, so keep an eye out. I'm going to make a video on something I found. I haven't used it yet, so I want to make sure they work well, but I found something that I think will even work better than this that I think most people don't know about. It might be a great tip for you guys, so keep an eye out for that video. All right, number 6 could be maybe an obvious one to you, but really be wise about the size fuel canister you bring when you're going to cook your food at night. I've seen so many times on trails, whether it's a overnighter or on the PCT, where people have really huge fuel canisters. I'll give you my case. I carry the smallest one, the 4-ounce one. This has 4 ounces of fuel, but it's heavier than that. This is almost empty, so I don't know what it weighs. It's brand new. And I have one of these too, but I see people bring this for an overnighter. I can tell you, for mine, I know I get 18 to 22 boils out of my stove. Now, the key is to pay attention. When you get a brand new canister, no matter what size it is, start counting. You can even make a mark with a permanent marker or something, or scratch it on your canister so you can keep a track of it. But you want to learn how many boils you get out, because all stoves are different. I used to carry the BRS 3000, super small, ultralight one. And yes, it was super small and light, but it was super inefficient, and it just took forever to boil water. And if it was windy, forget about it. So I got rid of that. I carry another ounce or two worth of a stove, but now I boil faster. I get my boil done fast. I get my food faster, and I conserve fuel. So try to figure out how many boils you get out of a canister, and just be smart about it. This one I also bring because it's convenient. This fits in here. All my I have a thin towel in there. I have the fuel canister in here right now. I have my stove folded in here. I even have a mini Bic lighter and a little pair of hot lips. And that's what I have in my cook kit's this small. So everything for me is, like as I've said, is the weight, but also the physical size of things. So why carry this when you're going to go out for 3 days and 2 nights, right? All right, the 7th tip to getting lighter is for those of you who usually bring shorts and pants on the trip. I think most people do. In the West Coast, we can kind of count on the weather being a little more consistent, generally speaking, at least in Southern California. But a lot of places, it's supposed to be good weather, but possibly bad. So you bring shorts and pants. Well, pants are very heavy. And it's kind of a bummer if you wear your shorts the whole trip and you carry like 12 to 16, 18 ounces of pants, then you never wear them. So I have a solution for you. And I'm going to give my buddy Dave a shout out for this. And it's something I'm actually going to consider once in a while when I'm hiking when it's cold. I have never done it, but I'm thinking about it, is to get leggings. So these happen to be 32-degree heat, and you get them at Costco. You get a 2-pack, and they make uppers too. But you can just put these on and then just wear your shorts over them. And that way you don't have to bring the pants at all. The other way to do this, and if you're worried about, well, what if if it's really overgrown, these help with scratching. Now, that's the one thing that I've had to deal with my whole hiking career, is getting my legs cut up and scratched up a lot. And if I fall or trip, I cut my knees up pretty good because I don't have any protection. So that helps you with that. The other way you can do it, and what I do because I don't bring pants, is I bring a very light, thin pair of rain pants. This is Outdoor Research. And these are double XL, and they still only weigh 6.7 ounces. So I bring this not only to protect my legs. If it's really cold in the morning, I've worn them just like, let's say I get out of camp and it's around freezing or something, I'll leave these and start hiking until I get warmed up. If the day's cold, or let's say I'm going through a lot of brush where it's wet, this is where rain pants help you better, because it might not be raining, but it's a lot of dew or rain from the night before, where this you can get wet through that. You can also get like yoga pants or running tights, things like that. But I'm considering these for me for the times I go where it's going to be really cold and I don't want to wear pants. Okay, number 8 is a pretty easy one, but consider not bringing a camp chair. This is the lightest one that I know of that's a decent one. This is the Chair Zero, and this is 1 pound, so 16 ounces. Instead, what I always bring is a sit pad. This is, I weighed this, it's 1 ounce. So you're saving 15 ounces. Now, is it as comfortable? Probably not. But it's one of those things where once you get used to them, it's normal. I sit on all my lunch breaks and my in-between breaks during the day. Around camp, I'll sit on it to save my shorts from getting all dirty. I use it outside of my, as like a doormat outside of my tent, put my wet shoes and different things on it. So it's multi-use, but yeah, you can save almost 1 pound. All right, so the ninth tip, remember we talked about not just weight, but space, and this is kind of both, is you don't need to bring a whole roll of toilet paper when you're on a short trip or even on a through hike. Some people do, but it takes up an enormous amount of space. Now, what I started using this last year, this last summer, and it worked great, was these paper coin towels. Most of you have probably seen them, but you can buy them like a 500 packs on Amazon. You can get them anywhere almost. Um, but I started using them, and they just work great. And to give you an example, here's my deuce of spades, my poop scoop. And I happen to have 10 in here. I weighed 10 of them. They're less than 1/10 of an ounce. So 10 of these. Now, one of the things you should do too is figure out, don't bring a whole pile of them when you don't need them. I figured out that when I'm on trail, there's a lot of times when you're wet camping, I can take a wet bandana and clean myself off. But there are a lot of campsites where you don't have any water at all and you need to conserve your water. So what's great about these, you get them wet and you pull them apart and you have a wet towelette. Now, I figured out that it takes me about 3 or 4 of these to, like, basically, I wear shorts so my legs are always dirty, but basically clean off my whole body fairly decently. And then also I always pack 1 or 2 a day in case I need to go number 2 and go poop. So I bring 5 to 6 per day. So if 5 days, you're bringing 20 of them. So, or maybe 20, 25. So just remember that. Once again, don't bring more than you need unless you want to share them with your friends or something. But that's what I do. All right, number 10 is a really good one, and that is to try to repackage all the food you can when you go backpacking. I'm going to give you an example. This is a backpacker pantry dehydrated meal. It's a risotto with chicken, 2-person meal. I weighed this. It's 5.75 ounces, so almost 6 ounces. This is 2.75 ounces. So what I do is I repackage it in a freezer quartz Ziploc bag, and I write on there what it is, and you can write how much water and how long to let it cook and all that. So for me, remember, I'm talking about weight, but we're also talking about physical size. So when you're out there, uh, everything you bring out, you got to bring back. So this is garbage you have to bring back. One of the things I like about this is not only is it small in like your food bag or your bear canister, but look at the difference in the size. I know this is thinner, but it takes up a lot of space. And what I use these for too is that I have a thermal bag I use for this. So I pour the hot boiling water, actually cook it in here. You don't need this. And um, I put that in the thermal bag with the boiling water, cook it, and then when it's done, I use this actually as a garbage bag because these do not leak. And so I'll put my wrappers from my bars and ramen packages, all the garbage I have and shrapnel I'll put in here. So I have a garbage bag because it won't leak. Then another way you could do this is to repackage all your food in Ziplocs and then just bring one of these empty and just reuse it every time. They rinse out really nice. They have a reflective material on the inside, but they're easy to clean out. So you could just bring one of these and just reuse it every single time. That's the way to do it. So when you're not using it, it's flat and small and doesn't take up a lot of space. All right, guys, the 11th tip I have for you is you don't need to bring an extra cup for your coffee and tea and all the things you drink in the morning or night, whatever. This one is a very average one. It is double-walled metal. I actually got this as an employee, but this one I weighed, it's very average, is 8.6 ounces. So you're carrying this almost for no reason. The reason why I'm telling you that is if you're cooking in a titanium pot, you have a cup right there. I used to bring one of these kind of things. It was lighter than that, but I brought one every time. It's just more things to deal with. If you are going to cook something hot like coffee or tea, things that are hot, especially when you're boiling the water in the pot, I bring this on every hike I've ever done. It's just a pair of silicone. It will actually get them in a pair places like REI, but it's just silicone hot lips, and it goes right on the edge of your thing, so you can drink and you don't burn your mouth. So to me, that's really easy. Okay, number 12 is something that I see all the time, and it kind of amazes me. But again, I don't think that people do it on purpose. They just are maybe inexperienced, but is that you don't need to carry double-walled metal thermal water containers or Nalgene bottles. I forgot to bring mine, but I'll maybe show a picture of it here. I think we all know what a Nalgene bottle looks like. But carry a simple, this happens to be a 1 liter smart water bottle. It can be any plastic bottle you want, to even make thinner ones. I use the smart bottle, it's a fraction heavier. This is 1 liter, it weighs 1.2 ounces. 1.2 ounces. So why carry, water is heavy enough anyway, so why carry the weight of the actual container? So these are strong. You can see, clearly see how much water you have left. You can see if they're dirty, they're easy to replace, they're not expensive, and they're just, you can beat the outside of them and they just last practically forever. Okay, the 13th way to get lighter was a very difficult one for me, because when I was newer backpacking, I wanted to stay organized. I had too much crap, but I had to figure out, how do I organize it? So when I had started the PCT, I had a different colored stuff sack for everything. So I thought, man, I'm organized. Well, guess what? I spent my whole hike, every morning, every night, in the middle of the day when I'm trying to find a jacket, moving all that stuff out, all the stuff sacks, opening and closing the drawstrings was a pain in you know what. So it was hard for me to let go of that, but I'll give you a couple of reasons why. It doesn't seem like it, but I'm going to kind of freak you out here. But this is like a typical, this is a pump sack that everybody carries. And you go like this. Here's some stuff sacks. This is 13.6 ounces. So it's not only about the weight of all these things. This is almost a pound of sacks. But it's also just having to touch and deal with them, like I said. Now for me, I learned a valuable lesson. I watched a video and I was like everybody else. I had this is what I had. It is a compression sack for my sleeping bag. At the time I had a sleeping bag, now I have a quilt. But when I put my sleeping bag in there, it made a log. And when I put it, I always put it in the bottom of my my backpack. And what would happen was I had lots of open space, not lots, but I had open spaces down there. And then I'd put my air mattress and things on top of it, but I wasn't utilizing the space. And I always had I had a very large backpack, and I had a hard time getting all my stuff in my pack. So I watched a video on taking my quilt out of its stuff sack, because this creates a log, right? And just put it in there loose. Ever since I've been putting it in loose, I put it in the plastic compact trash bag liner I showed you earlier, put it in there, and when I put everything on top of it, it fills every single square centimeter of that backpack. My backpack and my gear went down about this much, and I'm not exaggerating. And I don't have to deal with trying to stuff my quilt into the stuff sack every time and trying to make it fit. So just think about it this way. I do have stuff sacks, but every stuff sack I have is DCF. I want as light as possible. They weigh like 1/10 of an ounce, if that. So I want as light as possible, and they're waterproof. Or I use freezer quartz Ziploc bags, which are also waterproof and light, and they're easy to replace. One of the main things I want to share with you is think about this. Once I put my quilt in there loose, I'll put a jacket if I know I'm not going to need a certain jacket or sweater. And the next thing I do is I take my air mattress, fold it up there into a rectangle shape. I fold it up and just put it in there. Why do you need a bag for your air mattress? Just think about it. Same with your pillow. You don't need one for your pillow. Stuff it in your pack. If it's in the plastic bag, it's going to stay dry. It's protected. There's nothing that's sharp cutting. So they always come with stuff sacks, but there's for a lot of your gear, you do not need a stuff sack. So just think outside the box. Like I said, I have my first aid kit and my electronics kit and my poop kit in Ziploc bags, but they all go in one DCF bag on the outside of my pack, so that during the day I need it. Those are the things I touch during the day. The things I don't need, I fold up like my air mattress, put it in there, and I'm done. All right, the 14th tip to getting lighter is a pretty simple, easy one. I think most people do it, not everybody. I've seen people bring their whole wallet, and there's no need for that. You just need to get a simple freezer quartz bag, like I've been saying for all these other things, or even just get a sandwich bag. You can put your ID, your credit cards, any cash you need. If you need a permit, like you're in the Sierra, you need a permit, bring that. Put it all in the little Ziploc. Easy peasy. All right, the 15th way to save a little weight is you do not need a big old buck knife or any kind of knife or sword or axe, anything like that. You don't need it. Now, it's a little different if maybe you're going to go fishing or hunting. That's different, but I'm talking backpacking here, okay? This is what I bring. It's made by Spyderco. Very nice knife, kind of expensive, but very small and light. And I found that after almost 10,000 miles on all trails that I've been doing since I started about 8 years ago, I have only needed a knife for cheese, meat, and some string, or fixing something, or cutting some Luco tape from a blister or something like that. That's all you need. The 16th tip to getting lighter is a pretty simple and easy one. and that is when you go on a 3-day trip or a through hike, only bring 2 pair of socks. Now, how you get away with this is, and what I do is I wear darn toughs. These are quarter highs right here. They go right around where my ankle is, and I bring 2 pair. So my socks are consistent and I bring the same thickness. Now what I do is, if say today I hiked, at the end of the day, if I'm wet camping near water, I'll rinse them out, and I carry large diaper pins on my backpack, and I will hang them on there, or maybe the next morning hang them on there, and then when I go to bed tonight, I'll put the clean ones on. Now that way your feet are warm, and when you get up in the morning, you don't have to put socks on when it's cold. You just put your shoes on, you're ready to go. Now, the theory is tomorrow, when those are hanging on my pack, they dry, and we just keep rotating them. I've seen people bring 3 and 4 pair of socks for like a 2 and 3 day trip. I got away with just having 2 the whole time on the PCT, and it worked great. So just consider that. They're not super heavy, but it's just one more thing to deal with when you have too many socks. All right, the 17th tip to getting lighter is a very simple and easy one, but a lot of people don't know about this. It's something I teach where I work, and that is to distribute the weight in your pack properly so it doesn't feel so heavy and so awkward. So you want to put the heaviest thing in the center of your pack, going vertically, okay? So for me, I always put my quilt on the bottom. I fold up my air mattress, a jacket. I put different things in there. I have a Gossamer Gear Thin Light foam pad I bring sometimes. I make up, and what I'm doing is putting it down there because I don't need it till the very end of when I set up camp at the end of the day of hiking. But I'm also building a base to put my food bag in the center. And you want to put your food bag in the center. I have a separate little DCF light stuff sack that I pull out my snacks for the day, so it's on the outside of my pack. So when I'm hiking during the day, I generally never go in here. But you want to have your food in there and have it in the center of your backpack. And then you also want to get as close to your back as you can. So not have it, maybe have something light near your back, and then the food, because it'll start pulling you, it'll feel like it's pulling you back. So you want it in the center vertically and nearest your back you can get it. The 18th one, and I want you to seriously think about this and evaluate and be honest with yourself, is clothing and your layering system. There's a term that we call packing for your fears, and my fears were always too much clothes and too much food. It took me forever to not bring too much clothes. I got it dialed in now. I still am guilty of sometimes bringing too much food, but it's more that I lose my appetite. But I'm going to show you what I have. But you got to evaluate your stuff. You got to be really honest. And let me show you what I bring, and then I'm going to give you one more tip. So I bring this sun hoodie. It's what I'm wearing now. It's an Outdoor Research Echo hoodie. I love them. Best hoodie that I found so far, but I haven't tried them all. I had a gap where I had this thin one and I had a thick jacket, but I now have a Senchi mid-layer. Great little thing. It's got a hood on it too, which I love. I told you I have the Lighten equipment, Torrid Apex jacket. It's synthetic, so if it gets wet, it still keeps me warm. That, of course, has a hood. And then lastly, I have a Frog Togs rain jacket. And this thing's been great, but I have, like I said, I've got a nicer one that I'm going to start using soon. But, yeah, that's my layer, and that's all I need. That'll get me, I've been down to 18 degrees and up to 110 degrees with everything that I'm showing you here. One of the great ways to save weight that I started doing, and I'm going to give the Hiking Rev, my buddy, the Hiking Rev, attaboy at this one. He did this for a long time, and it took me a while. And a lot of these things I'm telling you take time and to trust it. But you got to trust that other people are doing it and it works for them. So maybe try it yourself. Try it on a trip. On all these things I'm telling you, maybe it will work, maybe it won't. But one way I saved a lot of weight and not carrying as many clothes was not bringing designated layers for sleeping. And I like the feeling of cleaning up, putting on some base layers, you know, clean socks, and getting there and feeling, even though I was kind of dirty, I'd feel clean, semi-clean, depending on how dirty the trail was. And it's just a lot of work. And I'd fold up my clothes and put them somewhere in the tent. In the morning when it was freezing cold, I had to get out of my sleeping clothes and get those back on. My clothes were cold, and it just was a whole thing. It was time consuming too. And I learned from Rev, I wear shorts, and I try to clean up like I showed you with those coin towels. I clean up as best I can. And I sleep in my hiking shorts and my Echo hoodie sun shirt. That's what I sleep in. I rotate the socks, so I have a fresh pair of socks on. So in the morning, I literally put my shoes on and start hiking. If it gets cold or I'm chilly, another part of the base layer is I have some wind pants I didn't bring with me. They're I think they're from a Lighten equipment, but they're 2 ounces. They're kind of pricey, but they're just light, like almost look like a Glad bag, but they are what I sleep in. And also, if it's really cold in the morning, I'll put them on to take the edge off. Or if it's mosquito-y and I don't want to get bitten for my legs, or you bring these rain pants that are 6.7 ounces. These are outdoor research. So this is kind of my whole layering system, but for like the entire PCT, this is really all I need besides the clothes I'm hiking with. The 19th tip to getting lighter is food. Now, food generally is the second heaviest thing you carry besides water. It is for me anyway, because I've got everything so light. But really be honest with yourself, just like the layering I was talking about, and really be honest with yourself and look at how much you eat. I know that when I get on trail, I generally lose my appetite. So when I'm first on trail and doing significant miles, I bring less than I need. I don't want to carry that stuff unless I have to. And even then, I usually don't eat my food, but I'll repackage things. Like I said, I showed you those backpacker pantry meals. I make them from 2-person to 1. I split them in half because I can't eat the whole thing. And why carry it and why waste it? So I'll bag it twice and eat it twice. So be honest with yourself. Really evaluate the trips you've been on, and just try to refine it to the things you like to eat. Sometimes we bring things that we romanticize. Like for me, I can barely eat any more bars. I've got sick of them on the PCT. But like I don't bring many bars unless there's something new or something I know I really like. So bring things you like, and bring just what you need. You want to kind of limp into the last day of your hike if it's a 3 or 4 day trip and have almost no food left when you're done. All right, the 20th and final tip is just kind of an easy one, but just be honest with yourself. Every time you go do an overnighter, 5 day, 10 day, doesn't matter. When you come back, lay out all your stuff on the bed or on a big table or something, and just be honest with yourself. I give this example all the time where I almost always, not always, because I do live in San Diego where the weather is pretty good all the time for the most part, but I almost always bring a rain jacket. I almost never wear it, but I always bring it. So those are things in your pack that you're going to bring because just in case, you don't want to ever subject yourself to possible hypothermia. But besides that, like, so if you go on a trip and you don't use your rain jacket, that's okay. But everything else, just lay out and look at. If you keep bringing too many socks or too many shirts and and you have too much in your first aid kit or just a lot of the gear we talked about, just be honest. If you, there's a saying we do on the PCT about if you haven't used it in about 3 weeks, get rid of it. You know what I mean? You're not going to die, and if you're on a 3 day trip, you're going to be in your bed in 3 days anyway. You know, so just kind of refine. Like if you don't need 50 band-aids, bring 3, and just like refine your everything down to its smallest and lightest amount, and you'll be much happier and you'll enjoy your hikes better. I have progressed so far from when I started. It's like it just, I've become a better hiker too, but just really I've gotten my pack smaller and lighter, and it's just more it's less cumbersome and just more comfortable. All right, that about does it for this video. It was really interesting doing it in this park. This is the park I first started in about 5 or 6 years ago. I haven't been here in a long time, but it's always interesting. I had dogs running through, people talking, coming right through, right in front of the camera. Didn't even notice I was there. I've had the garbage truck came through. I had planes flying over, but I seemed to manage to film the whole thing and not get them in there. So hopefully it's not too much background noise, but if you'd like to help support the channel, there's ways to do down in the description box below. So check it out. I have a great Patreon page. I have an Amazon store if you need things that I use or things that I use or think are great products. I have a brand new YouTube partnership. You can be a YouTube partner. You look on my YouTube channel, you can see that. And there's even PayPal and things like that. So check it out if you'd like. Please consider subscribing. That helps the channel a lot. Liking even helps more. And share it if you want. If you have some other topics of videos you'd like to see, I've got a couple more coming out that I've been filming. But if you have some more topics, or I'm always down for some Q&As. If you have questions, let me know. But that's it for this time. This one, I'm going. I've got to get all this stuff geared, rounded up, and get to the car. See you guys later. Bye.